Okay, so here's Allan Pollett, CEO of Global Net Trade and SEO consultant for GTApreneurs.
So the people that came early, I was talking a little bit about myself, where I explained that I started in SEO back in 1998. Back then, I was doing a language translation site from English, Korean to English, English to Korean. Yeah, I was kind of exploring at that time what SEO was. Really, there was nothing called SEO at that time. It was a very emerging field, and I was kind of one of the pioneers of the industry. What like I always had this thing where when I told people what I did or do, at that time people didn't understand what is SEO. Well, and I would say it's search engine optimization. Now people nowadays understand SEO okay, but they still have misconceptions about it. They don't really understand what it means. So SEO is getting sites ranked at the top of Google. But what does that mean? That means that when people go to Google, which gets about 160 billion visitors per month, it's the #1 site on the web. Most businesses get 60%, like most businesses that have an online business get 60 to 70% of all their business from Google. That's how important Google is. And what I do is I'm not like getting ranked at the top of Google. What does that mean? Well, that means that when somebody comes to Google, they have an intention. They're looking for something. They are looking for whatever it is, whatever topic it is. Let's say it's real estate. Well, when they look for real estate, they'll type in real estate, right? But they don't just type in real estate, they'll type in their location. They'll say, okay, well, I don't want just real estate. I'm not buying in some random country or something like that. I'm buying locally. I want to find real estate in Vaughan or Markham or Toronto. So they'll type in real estate Toronto, or they'll say, well, I'm not just interested in real estate. I'm interested in a specific type of real estate because it's like housing has become so expensive. Well, maybe I can only afford a condo. So I'm going to search for condos in Vaughan, or something where it's a little bit more precise. And generally that's how people search. And there's a pattern to the searches. And those patterns for how people search are actually tracked. So one of the things as an SEO that we do is we use search patterns or search frequency to determine what keywords people use when looking for a potential client. So if we have a real estate client, well, we say, okay, these are the words that we've identified that people use when looking for your products or services. And what we do is we use that as a basis to structure their website. So basically what happens is you have a website, you have like a bunch of pages, usually have your service pages, and those service pages become landing pages for keywords. Okay, so back to the, I like the real estate one because I've optimized, just in real estate alone, I've optimized 1,000 sites. So that's why whenever I hear I've optimized 1,000 sites, well, I've optimized probably closer to 2,000 sites over the years. But just in real estate alone, about 1,000. And about 300 of those were my own. So it's kind of a funny story about that. But what happens is when you design the site for SEO, you think, okay, I'm going to have these services. So in real estate, it would be like homes for sale, condos for sale, townhouses for sale, real estate listings, and then locations, all associated to those. And then, so that becomes like your navigation that people use within your website to find the various things that you offer. So that's kind of the structural way that SEO specialists will look at a website. They'll think of how do we create all these landing pages that become ways to bring in traffic. Now, back to my own example. What I did when I was targeting real estate for my own business way back in the day, I would build sites that generally had 300 to 400 pages. So if I was targeting a market, I would go for every single keyword that could be possibly thought of for that market. And that way, like generally the way to look at it is this. For example, the word real estate might get a few 100,000 searches per month. And then if you go into a more niche keyword, it might get a few hundred searches or a few, maybe even tens of like only 10 or 20 searches. But what happens is the more niche you get, the more relevant that user becomes. So if you sell widgets in Markham and somebody searches widgets in Markham, well, if you have a page on your website all about widgets in Markham, well, you might not get that many people searching for that. But if somebody comes into your website looking for that, you're going to be probably really relevant to them. Okay. And so what ends up happening is those like more niche keywords get less searches, but they convert better. Generally, you'll find like really high conversion rates on like a niche keyword. So what I do is I find, and what happens is, you know, that real estate, like our widget, if it was just widget by itself without the location or without extra niches, what ends up happening is not only is it less relevant, but what ends up happening is a lot of the time when those people come in, they bounce out because what you're, you know, you're not really offering what they're looking for. They're too broad. They don't really know what they're looking for yet. So generally you'll lose them. But by targeting a whole bunch of niches, it actually adds up to those bigger keywords. And often those bigger keywords are really, really competitive because you can imagine the one trick that I always do, like if you want to ever find out how big is Google in terms of all the sites on it, what you can do is search for the keyword the. Okay, the keyword the is something that appears on pretty much every English website. Okay, and what that, you know, if you wanted to rank for the word the, yes, you would be, you know, that you could do it. You can, you know, but is it really relevant? Is it really important? Is it going to drive something business to you? No. Just like the word real estate sounds great to rank for the keyword real estate, but doing it, you're going up against millions of sites or hundreds of millions of sites. Not really useful. So what an SEO specialist will do is they'll look for keywords that convert really well, that have relevant traffic, and that you can actually rank for with realistic budgets and kind of, because it takes, you know, manpower in order to get these things ranked. So one of the tricks that actually Tammy's giving you guys, it's insane that actually she's doing this, is by being part of her, like, you know, GTApreneurs, you're getting links. And generally what SEO guys will do is they'll beg everybody they can to find links. Like links are really valuable in terms of rankings. So the two things that really matter for Google and what made Google compared to any other search engine was that it would look at the content of the website and it would look at these links that would come from other websites. So generally, if you want to rank for a bigger keyword, well, you need more and more links and better content. So generally, like the sites that rank at the top will have like maybe 100,000 or maybe 1,000 pages, or some of them have even 100,000 pages. They're massive sites. And then they'll have like maybe 1 million links pointing to them. I mean, these are the ones that rank for the big keywords. So competing against that, it's really impossible to do. It just doesn't make sense. But if you go for a more relevant and more niche keyword, it is plausible. And there's tricks that SEOs do to make it so that you can actually get a small site ranking for big keywords that are relevant to your market, to what you're doing. And that's part of the whole strategy that as an SEO guy, that's what we do. We figure out, we do the keyword analysis and we say, okay, these are the keywords you really should be considering. Maybe they're not the biggest keywords, but they're the most relevant. They will convert the best for you, and they will get you that relevant traffic to your site, and you'll get the traffic that you need rather than just random traffic. And then with links, that's the other thing. So we try to control, as an SEO specialist, we try to control the two ranking factors that Google use. We try to optimize the content of the website so that it says the words in the right places. So a few tricks, and I'll actually tell you a few of the tricks. Tammy probably doesn't like me telling too many of the tricks, but I'm going to tell a few of the tricks because I always like giving a little bit extra information. One of the tricks that SEO specialists will do is we'll put the keyword in two major places. One is in the title tag, because when Google reads a page, it'll read it from the top down. And it'll say, okay, what's the first piece of information? And that's usually your metadata on a page, which is your title, your description, and your keywords. Now, over the time, people have spammed those keywords and description. So generally, they don't give any ranking value to those. But they still give a lot of ranking value to the title meta, which is, if you can code your website, you can do this pretty easy. You can change what that title meta is. So what you do is you always have your keywords within that title meta. That's the first place that Google looks. The second place that Google looks is what is the first piece of text on the page that it can recognize. So, and usually most pages will start with a title. It's just like a book. When you get a book, the title is the first thing that people see when they look at the book, and that's what they think the book is about, right? The title kind of reflects, what is this book about? Well, Google thinks the same way for every page of your website. What is this page about? Well, whatever that title is. And that's usually called an H1 tag or heading tag. And that H1 tag has a lot of weight with Google. Because usually if you look at a heading tag, it's usually a big piece of text. So just like, if you ever chatted with somebody and they use all caps, you go, oh man, are they yelling at me? Because they're using all caps. Well, that's how Google sees the heading tag. You're yelling what your keywords are. You're telling them, hey, this is what I'm about. And Google's going, okay, you're about this keyword. So we'll rank you for that keyword. So that H1 tag has a huge amount of sway with Google. Okay, so title tag, H1 tag, heading tag. So those are the two big ones. But then they look at how does that keyword get reinforced throughout the content of the page. And generally what you want to do is make the page relevant by having it kind of lightly sprinkled throughout the page. And I always recommend top, middle, bottom. Because if you start talking about a topic and you continue talking about a topic, and then you conclude by talking about the topic, Google will say, well, this page is completely relevant to this keyword. And you got to remember, Google's goal is to provide relevant pages for what people are searching for. So if you can make your page look relevant to the audience, well, then they've done their job. They've gotten people to a page that's relevant to what people are searching for. So there's I do seminars on just how to do keyword research. So I'm giving you a very high level view of this. So you can imagine I do 2 to 3 hour seminars just on how to do keyword research. So you can find out what are those best keywords to search. What are those best keywords to use within your content that will get you the traffic that you want? It's not something I can do in 20 minutes. So, but one of the things that I always recommend is brainstorm. Think of words that you would use if you, or actually it's even worse. I don't think of words that you would use. Ask your friend, ask your spouse. Usually my wife has a very limited understanding of what I actually do. So if I ask her, what would people search for what I do? And then she'd be like, she would say these kind of weird words. I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But what happens is when you're in your own industry, a lot of the time you become almost blindsided. You become very techie and you kind of think, oh, they must search by, SEO, SEM and blah, blah, some weird acronym that nobody outside of the industry would ever use, but you would use commonly within your own industry. So having that kind of second view where they kind of give you kind of what they think would be, gives you kind of a good base for keyword research, kind of thinking about what people would use when searching for you. And back to what I was saying earlier about thinking about also your location. Because whenever, like, even if you come up with a really great keyword, often the time is that, that keyword is a really great keyword, but it is still not niched enough that you're ever going to rank for it, because it could be the case that it's just really competitive. And a lot of the businesses that we do are very localized. We want local clients. So always add if you're going to do real estate, say real estate Toronto. Just have that extra Toronto. Or even go even further, where if you're you could say beaches, Rosedale, Forest Hill, even going more niche like that, if that's the way you think, in terms of what your market is, who are the people that generally will form your market. This applies not just to real estate. I'm just saying real estate is a good example. This could be like, you could be a plumber, a roofer, a dentist, a lawyer, whatever the keyword is, just, think about that local market that you're dealing with. Generally, you're going to do better. And most people, especially nowadays, they will do the following search. And this is something that is interesting, that has really changed in the last 5 to 10 years, is a lot of people are using a search on their mobile devices. So one of the most common search nowadays for people on their mobile device is near me. Because they want to find, they're out and about and they want to find that service near where they are. And what happens is Google's actually very, very smart. It actually recognizes where you are, and it will kind of say, okay, they are in Markham at this moment. So what it'll do is when somebody says, find a real estate near me, for example, I like picking on real estate because I did so many of them. What'll happen is it'll actually say, well, they're in Markham. So it'll say real estate Markham, when instead of it kind of behind the scenes replaces that near me with Markham. So if you create a very niche page about real estate Markham, well, it actually will say that is relevant to that near me search. So that's one of the tricks that making your locations or making your pages localized can really help with, which is just taking advantage of people walking around with their phones and searching near me. So it's something to consider whenever you create your pages. Always remember, mention your location. It's just like this is like, if you get anything from this seminar, just that one point can actually get you so much more business. It's insane. It sounds really simple and trivial, but it actually does a lot to generate business for you. So I think I'm sure how much I can talk about this all day.
That's it. Yeah, thank you, Allan. That was
usually
20
Tammy
minutes.
has to get like the hook.
I know time goes by so fast. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm just going to stop the recording now.